Joining us now with more on this topic and the political situation is founder and president of the Shurat Hadin Law Center and number 4 on the Bait HaYehudi, Nitsana Darshan-Leitner. Shalom.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So what is your take, by the way, on the agreement before we move to the political aspects?
I think it's a wrong thing to do. I don't think you can sign an agreement 2 weeks before an elections in Israel. This is not what you do. This is an international agreement. You don't take it from the next government that comes in. You don't have a full approval. And it has to be rectified by the Knesset. Otherwise, it's not going to pass. I'll just remind you the agreement that, the nuclear agreement that Obama wanted to reach just before his term was over, and he did not take it to the Senate because he was fearful that it's not going to pass. He did an executive order, and in the end, the agreement was canceled by the next one, by President Trump, who came after him. It's a mistake. You don't do it in a democratic state. The government should not have signed it.
Interesting. Let's talk about the elections. As you said, we're 2 weeks before the elections. The polls are not really on your side. Do you think it was a mistake running with Ayelet Shaked?
Not at all. Not at all. I believe that we are going to pass the threshold in the end of the day. Look, I decided that taking my what I did for 20 years, fighting terrorism in court, winning terrorism in court, changing the international banking system to the extent that no bank agrees to open bank account to a designated organization or act in terror zones, fighting BDS, fighting on behalf of IDF soldiers in the International Criminal Court, to take all this enterprise and bring it to the next stage. Work from the Knesset, from the government, because I saw that the one that obstructs my initiatives is actually the government, is actually the court system, who diminish the struggle on behalf of victims. And I decided to do it through the Bait HaYehudi party, not because I was not offered positions in other parties. I was, and I actually got a real seat, and I could be a Knesset member easily.
And why not?
Because because I don't want to go extreme. I feel that Bait HaYehudi is the mainstream Judaism that I grew on, which I want to teach my kids on. And I actually want the people in Israel to feel, to have, to learn, to absorb real mainstream moderate Judaism.
Yet again, Netanyahu is saying that Ayelet Shaked is basically risking the entire right-wing camp and asking her to leave the race.
So she's not. She's not, because recent polls indicated that if she quits before, the left-wing bloc gets increased with 1 mandate, gets stronger. And if she runs and she doesn't pass the threshold, there is no change in the blocs. And indeed, after learning this, you see that Netanyahu a little bit backtracked from his campaign, calling Ayelet Shaked to quit. And I'll tell you something more important. Without Bait HaYehudi, Netanyahu does not have a government. Netanyahu right now is standing on 59, 60 mandates. He does not have 61 to form a government. We are the 61 mandate for him.
So what's the plan?
Our votes are from both from the right and from the left. We are actually we are the only party that belongs to the right and yet have voters that without us will go and vote Gantz and Eisenkot.
So what's the plan for the upcoming 2 weeks? Because it seems as if Ayelet Shaked is on her way to get back the right-wing voters. Yet again, there are a lot of people who were disappointed with what Bennett did, with him sitting together with Lapid, with Ra'am. How is she going to fix that image?
So she admitted that there were mistakes done in the previous government. I think relying on Arab parties as for the entire government as the 61 mandate is a mistake. You can't rely on the Arabs. Joining parties that you have nothing in common with them from the left, extreme left, failed. And she learned the lesson, and now she is totally going to the right. She's going to the right not because she's a right-wing person to begin with, but also because the condition in the terms of Bait Yehudi, headed by Yossi Brodny, to join Ayelet Shaked, to run collectively, was that we are going to recommend the right-wing candidate to be the prime minister.
I have to get another census view about something else. You led a lot of human rights projects for Jewish causes. What do you think about what is happening now with Iran and the protest against the regime?
It's so heartbreaking. It's amazing that, that those who are human rights activists and human rights organizations that condemned Israel on every single thing that Israel did are silent, are quiet when it comes to the horrific human rights violations that's going on in Iran. The Iranian people are in despair. They have to find a way to get rid of this regime, which is so cruel, that destroy not the world's life, but their own people's life. We see that they try to demonstrate, but they're getting killed in demonstrations. Now I heard that they are going to strike, which is a very perhaps non-violent and maybe more effective way to influence the Iranian regime. I think the entire world, seeing that, cannot be silent. This is not what you do. You have to put pressure on Iran economically.
Yeah.
This agreement that is going to be signed now with the nuclear agreement, releasing them billions of dollars, is a huge mistake. It's a mistake towards the Iranian regime and towards the poor Iranian people.
Yeah, and maybe the world can start with taking out Iran from the Women's Committee in the UN. That could be a good start. Nitsana Darshan-Leitner, thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you for having me.
Hi everyone, it's Emmanuel Kadosh. I wanted to invite you all to subscribe to ILTV Plus, where you can find our daily news and updates about Israel. And not only that, but live feeds, entertainment, our kosher food show, and so much more. Needless to say, your subscription to ILTV Plus helps us grow and create more content while also supporting the state of Israel. Our app is available on all platforms and devices, so I'll see you guys there.